Well, privyet, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, comrades of all ages. My name is DB333, and welcome back to Hearts Iron 4, the New Order Last Days of Europe, as the United Soviet Federation. In the last video, the succession war for the vice premiership really kicked off, and we did a lot to align the board to Kardashev. I think we more or less have it in the bag, I want to say. I mean, we pretty much do. I mean, it's hard to say what's going to happen next one day to change it. So I think we're good, but, you know, knock on wood, all that good stuff. The Presidium vote was imminent, and soon the next vice premier would be chosen. It had been a close vote. Too close. Neither Kardashev nor Chelmoy had a majority, and the vote would likely be a deadlock. Kardashev didn't want to destabilize the Federation's succession just for the sake of power. He hoped Chelmoy would agree. All the members of the Presidium had chosen their sides, and try as he might, Kardashev couldn't get any others to budge. Kardashev had expended all of her options, leaving only one decision left. He sighed. He didn't want to do this, but his hands were tied. He picked up the phone and began dilating the People's Commissariat of Defense. The phone rang a few times, and then he heard a stern voice come through. Comrade Kardashev, come to withdraw your candidacy? Kardashev held his tongue, and after his head had cooled, responded. No, Comrade Chelmoy. I've come to make a deal. I would have preferred the resignation. The atmosphere in Chelmoy's office was tense. The two men sat across from each other, neither were particularly happy. However, a compromise had to be reached, and so Kardashev broke the silence. Let's face the facts here. I have more votes than you, but not enough to guarantee my victory. I should be vice premier. I expect as much. Oh, wait. I would only accept such a thing under certain circumstances. I expected as much. Fine, what are your terms? My demands are simple. First, when you become vice premier, I want my seat on the Presidium guaranteed. That's fine, what else? My other demand is that I'll be able to pick your replacement as the People's Commissar for Energy. That's quite the demand. Why? Do you want my support or not? Kardashev didn't want to give the People's Commissar of Energy to one of Chelmoy's goons, but Chelmoy had the upper hand. Kardashev had to give in. Fine, I'll accept those demands, but that's as far as I'll go. I'm glad we could reach an agreement. And with that, the day had arrived. At long last, after so much support building, influence peddling, maneuvering for position, the decision as to who would fill Igor Kardashev's position as successor to paramount leader would finally be made by the Presidium as a whole. As each delegate submitted their vote, and each was recorded, tension within the chamber rose. Both candidates, Kardashev and Chelmoy, were, through much of the process, possessing nearly equal support. It was not until the very end that the winner was declared. And when it was, by the narrowest margins, Kardashev was declared the victor. So chosen, the paramount leader gave support to Kardashev's elevation as vice premier, to the accompaniment of much fanfare from supporters and other partisans. Chelmoy himself was considerably less enthused, but all would later agree that he conducted himself with respect and dignity, accepting his defeat with the expected grace. He also, as the meeting came to a close, proposed the final decision of the night, the elevation to Kardashev's now vacant position of People's Commissar of Energy, of a rising star within the state's nuclear directorate. The decision in the affirmative was quick. It remained to be seen, however, if Anatoly Dyatlov would prove as successful in the office as his now much more prominent predecessor. That name's familiar. I gotta look it up real quick. Dyatlov. Oh no. Oh no. This is the guy who supervised the safety test that resulted in the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. Oh no! Oh fuck! Oh, the future's safe. Question mark. Oh god. Project Sotka was a success. Prototype 100 had been successfully put through several flight tests. Well, the drop news malfunctioned on the second flight due to a faulty electrical system. The error was quickly remediated. The aircraft had performed without serious fault in subsequent tests. The variable sweep wings have proven to be highly effective in their role, allowing the bomber to use a much shorter runway for takeoff to avoid the danger of stalls at high speeds. The bomber is planned to be capable of carrying both heavy cruise missiles for standard targets and lighter rocket pods for softer targets. Performance rise of the bomber has met all parameters expected, surpassing Mach 3 and having a service ceiling of 12,000 meters, high enough to evade German interceptors and anti-aircraft weapons. Avionics data suggests that the expected loadout will be well within its capabilities. Costs of developing such an aircraft have been expensive, as more than 600 patents have been filed based on the project alone. But as production scales, we will find more efficient methods of producing the necessary parts. 4 more prototypes are being constructed for further refinement, and the HoI Bureau is preparing to move to full-scale production. We shall rule the skies. A group of 50 subjects were transferred from the Gulag system to a facility redacted. They placed into combat on redacted, a large mansion. Did I set my timer? What's going on? Oh, I was looking at the Wikipedia page. I didn't move back. Could dominate every need. They were supplied with food, entertainment material, and never interfered with aside from subliminal messaging. For a 3-month period, they were allowed. The subjects were allowed to do as they pleased. Most went on their ordinary lives, occupying themselves with reading and social interactions. The experiment itself began on week 2. Whenever a subject found themselves isolated, we would play low-level white noise in their room, coupled with occasional subliminal phrases meant to influence the subject into taking certain actions. The entirety of the compound was equipped with speaker systems. By week 6, all subjects had experienced the phrases and elected to stick together. By your authorization on redacted date, we began playing the white noise and subliminal messages even when the subjects were in groups. By the final month, the program would play nearly every day, up to 4 hours. At first, the subjects refused to comply with messages, so we toned down the request. By week 8, we were no longer requesting actions, but rather filtering in phrases from the propagandist's office. At the experiment's conclusion, the subjects were questioned. No change in behavior or belief were noted, nor had their anti-revolutionary stances changed. Instead, all subjects reported weakness due to lack of sleep. Post-test, all subjects have been returned to Gulag systems. The compound is to be repurposed for different experiments. Maybe we should try shouting the subliminal phrases at them. Yuri sat down at his desk, a cup of coffee in hand, the heat of a ceramic peasant against the chill of his office. A stack of papers sat before him, his workload for the day. Licking at the tip of his index finger, he pulled from the top, taking an idle sip of his drink, and wincing as it burned his tongue. As he began to read, the first proposal seemed promising. It called for the construction of a laser pistol, which used a pyrotechnic flashbulb to blind targets and optical sensors. Yuri kept that on the keep pile. The next suggestion, titled Ape Man, suggesting the creation of human-chimpanzee hybrids that would serve as Soviet super soldiers, went into the discard pile immediately. Hours passed, and Yuri had read and reviewed dozens of visionary science proposals. For every genuinely good idea, such as hovercraft biodomes, hybridized crops, nuke-proof towns, there were 3 genuinely awful ideas. These included constructing robotic harnesses that would lash onto corpses and then be propelled by the invisible miasma, a gun that would fire a ray of heat into the head of a user to allow them to remember any event, extremely radioactive, and a highly improbable suggestion that proposed a species of regenerating cattle that could be used for infinite meat. Yuri sighed. At least he could laugh with his workmates about some more ludicrous suggestions. As the day ended, Yuri punched out and headed home for his flat. That night, he was haunted by the shrieking ape men and the rotting sharks with clinking metallic legs. Luckily, he had his trusty laser pistol with him and was able to fend them off before escaping in his hovercraft. If we knew what we were doing, it would not be called research, would it? Well, Andrei Zhdanov is dying. It's the most obvious thing on everyone's mind, even as we make talk on the weather, or on work, or anything other than single cold and blunt fact. And the new vice premier is among the most knowledgeable in the situation, and he's terrified. How long will it be before he's uplifted? Days, weeks, months? With any amount of time, Nikolai Kardashev could be pronounced by the new paramount leader and immediately deal with problems handed that the United Soviet Federation has. How is he going to be able to make it more sustainable? How will they deal with the deficit? Is he capable of taking the burdens of an entire country on his shoulders? Thankfully, he's interrupted. Jarringly snapped out of his daydreams as a phone rings, quickly flooding his ear with sounds as he lifts it up. Nikolai, congratulations on becoming vice premier, my friend. Sheplov chimed from the other end, voice jubilant despite the current times. Perhaps it was due to the current times. Kudryashov as loud as he responded. Pleasure to hear from you, friend. Thank you for your congratulations. Yes, you know what I'm calling. When you become paramount leader, take my advice. Trust me on this. You're going to need it. I cannot stress how important the fixes to the budget will be when you take charge. Sheplov interrupted, something sounding frantic, as Nikolai slowly eyed the receiver. Don't worry. I'll be sure to consider your suggestions. Silent for a few moments, before a soft "Thank you" exited it, before it clicked, leading Kudryashov sitting in his office and quietly until someone came with news. Urgent news. Tick-tock, Vice Premier. Guess we're gonna have... Well... Let's get that going. Infrastructure. Political power. Manpower. Some of that, yeah. We'll deploy these guys on this line. Research slot available. We'll go ahead and do... What do we want? Might be a good idea to get logistic companies. Infantry anti-tank. We'll have one experiment that we won't be able to finish more likely than not. It's a bit of a shame, but what are you gonna do? Get to building some factories. We'll take that advantage right now. Build up the city formerly known as Samara. Kubyshev, excuse me. Let's get some fortifications going. And we'll let them come into us. That was worded back poorly. Let me rephrase that. We'll let them invade us. Actually, I mean, this is luxury gay space communism. I get it. Whatever. I don't know. Engineer companies. Let's prepare for war production as well. Why not? Let's integrate Orsk, finally. I think with that 100 political power, we'll be able to start working on the rest of this. Yeah. Beautiful. So we got one last battle, one last war. And then it's time to look forward. march forward and keep our eyes focused straight ahead. Who'd they end up going with? Okay, they went with, Yuri, okay. Looks like we could strike them right now. I think we'll go ahead and let them get the invading, just so we get the bonuses for a defensive war. They're not many, admittedly, but they are what they are. We'll see. We'll start this. If it ends up taking that long, we'll get working on a new heavily armored platform developed for the purpose of creating an all-terrain heavy breakthrough vehicle capable of operating in the scenario of limited deployment of nuclear weapons on the battlefield. The vehicle shall be equipped with a unique array of 4 tracks, with low level of ground pressure, sufficiently equal levels of weight distribution. The resilience of the vehicle will be disc-shaped, maximum armor thickness of 270 millimeters. Reduced vehicle is to be tested in a variety of environments and deployed as a variant of heavy support tank for aggressive operations against potential aggressors. That sounds good to me. Get working on civilian factories, because God knows we're going to need some sort of civilian. We're going to need as many as we can to start getting our economy out of this shitter. Oh, God. That is not nice at all. The last war. 2 men enter. Only 1 will leave. Looks like Iran is about to implode on itself. Himmler, was that you? New dockyard's beautiful. Let's go work on convoys, because that's the only thing we can really get building. And there goes the batter keg. They're striking us right now, so we'll hold on to our command power. So are there any promotions we can give these guys? Oblisnin, we can give Adaptable. Adaptable is a good one, actually. Let's take that. Kulikov. Fucking nothing. How about our Field Marshal Ivanov? Nothing shit. Well, let's get our flyboys. Holy air capacity, Batman. Well, do they want to push in, or is that just what we're going to have to do? Guess we're pushing. And it... Their superiority. Okay, you guys cease your attacks right there. Yeah, all of you cease your attacks. There we go. Baiting them into attacking. That's what we gotta do. baiting them into attacking. The problem is they're starting to win after we bait their attacks. Fuck. Engineers, let's get that going and this going. You guys up north, I think you're good to start pushing. It says these guys are good to push. I'll trust them. I'll trust the whatever dictates that assessment. We've taken Orotia off the bat, or at least the capital, the one state, the one VP there. No, there too. So we haven't quite beaten them, but I think this is an exercise in alternating attack, when we attack and when we go on the defense. Already the casualties are just about equivalent. Come on. Can we hold on to this? It looks like we can't. Fuck. Jesus. No, we've taken... And there goes. So Jordan is still alive because they didn't join the war. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm going to have to fix that real quick. Fuck, it's not, that's not working. I trust this, let's see. That'll work. Yeah, they're starting to give, now they're not. Now they're not. Flamethrowers? Why not? Are we doing any damage? Really? Okay, let's see how many... They have about equivalent. We have more manpower than them. If it comes down to seeing who ends up throwing more men at each other, I think we have the advantage. We're already winning in that regard anyway. Says these two are definitely good to go. I'll trust that and see how long it takes for me to regret doing that. Okay, I'll move this around. And it says this is green too, so I'll give that a shot. See how true that ends up being. Oh, we're about to move into the capital, actually. Research facilities are up and improved. Cutting edge research facilities. Beautiful. Primary schooling. Could be better. Could be worse, but it could mainly be better. You stop your attacks. You need to go ahead and recuperate. And look at that. And And the Shahdam is just crushing shit. Jesus. Alright, let's go Baluchi Liberation Front. Look at that. There, they're dying. Oh no. Well, I know who I'm rooting for. Free Baluchistan, boys. Look at that research speed. Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh. 42% research speed as a Russian warlord. This is insane. This is absolutely ridiculous. Fuck. There is no reasonable reason why it should be this way. Split those two. Let's see. Oh, there goes Aldemori. Shit. We'll see if we can't get a little bit of an encirclement going on here. It's not much, but it's honest work. Same idea here, I suppose. Split these guys in two. That's not gonna work. About all four pushing in. Yeah, that's more like it. We'll send one of you in to take that little point. And like that, we're putting the pressure on pretty well. You move. You keep doing that. And with that, we got a couple quick little encirclements. Nothing too fancy or elaborate, but doesn't need to be too fancy or elaborate. We'll wait for these guys to get back in position, and then you ease off on that. You guys ease off on that, get back in position. Better anti-tank. Until these guys get back in position again. We might actually, yeah, we might actually be in time for this. Ooh, how's America doing right now? LBJ is pushing through. Damned if he isn't doing stuff. No one can't say that he isn't doing stuff. It looks like he's he has poor time on his focus tree right now. Probably should be way further. But, yeah, what are you gonna do? Go. Go. Fighting in Russia in the winter. Doesn't work for many people. But we're Russian, so it kind of works. Better army professionalism. Very nice. I'm impressed. I'm actually not cheating yet. I don't have to cheat. This is kind of boring and going slow as hell. But I don't have to cheat. I'm not cheating, guys. Look. I can do a little... that. With that guy. Look at that. Oh, look. Here's Jerusalem. Oh god, the Middle... In the Middle East is on fucking fire. Who'd have thought that would happen? And a decrease in poverty. Toast to our economists. And look at that. All things considered, not a bad state for Russia to be in right now. Let's see. And it looks like... Did they actually have a mass mutiny? What happened to their divisions? Oh no. I'm right to inform you of the closure of Chirapakta and our hope to move into the production stage. Our attempt to work with the specifications given has been far from resounding success, but we have some promise. The vehicle suffers from many of the same issues as the German tanks captured from last war, particularly the Tiger and Mouse. Cherapatka solves a number of problems those vehicles suffered from, particularly the unreliability of the drivetrain and excessive fuel consumption, and overall is able to maintain a higher level of performance for longer. However, a number of other problems have emerged as a result of our solutions to the original problem. The lead lining of the crew compartment, the 4-track drivetrain, and the unusual disc shape has resulted in the need for us to establish a completely new production line at the advanced plant to create the prototype. Tanks maintenance has also been an issue, as access to the mechanical portion of the tank is limited due to the design of the tank, and marked repairs is effectively impossible. Despite these difficulties, the vehicle has performed quite well in trials run by our personnel and demonstration runs for our military procurement officials, proving highly resistant to artillery fire and rarely break down. It's not suitable for mass deployment, as it lacks mobility to contend with modern battle tanks, but it possesses the armor and firepower that allows it to take on anything lighter. It will certainly fill an important niche in our military. Satisfactory result. Well, we're pushing forward. You guys keep going forward. Rush Irkutsk. Alright, I think that's where Irkutsk is supposed to be. It keeps disappearing on me. It says that's where Irkutsk is, so I'll trust it. And I don't even know if we need to research anything. We've researched everything of importance. Let's just build a bunch of civilian industry all over the damn place. Because if this game was going to go longer, then we'd probably need to dig our economy out. At the very least for role-playing reasons. One division is putting in effort. I'll give that one division credit. It's fighting a lot harder than it probably has it than the rest of its comrades. I didn't even need to do the mass mutiny. What the fuck even happened? I'm confused more than anything. I mean, I guess I won't complain, but I'll even show. Look, I didn't delete any units. I guess we just fainted at the sight of our impressive tanks and infantry with insane rifles. Mad King's reign is over, boys. Ladies and gentlemen. While Russia has been long stuck in a backward state of infighting and warlordism, today that comes to an end as Andrei Zhdanov proclaimed the formation of the Soviet Federation. Despite being a representative of the old regime, having served as foreign minister under the Bukharin government, Zhdanov espoused the need for a new Russia, hence the new name. Speaking in the National Assembly in Syktyvkar, the self-proclaimed paramount leader proclaimed the need for all Russians to, quote, unite under the Federation's banner and march boldly towards the future. Zhdanov also stated that his support for the sciences, extolling the values of technological progress and the need for bold, decisive action to uplift humanity and to become an interstellar race. Has the future come already? All our knowledge, past, present, and future, is nothing compared to what we will never know. Konstantin Stilkovsky. Unbelievable. That's pretty good. Accept no limits. Socialism, as a theory, has never successfully managed to envision the mass changes to human culture dialectically produced of necessity and progress. Humanity can transcend all boundaries, gravitational, mental, botanologically. With the tyranny of the market lifted, real innovation can begin under a program of complete human imagination. So it is that Germania will fall. For our economy churning at a full rational speed under a cybernetic and computational core, the fascist basket case of a German economy can be revealed as a pacing dog it is. Complete elimination of markets under scientific guidance is a means to military victory in the beginning of man's era, in Among the Stars. Excerpts from the Ultravisionary Manifesto by A. Zhdanov. It certainly lives up to its title. Kardashev listened to the white noise of a hospital's activity as he was led down a pristine white hallway towards a room at the end of the line. The beeping of heart monitors, the chatter of doctors, nurses, and patients, the clopping of shoes against tile, the hum of air conditioning and fluorescent lights. Kardashev and the nurse reached the end of the hall, where a rather unassuming door waited to be opened. Opening the door, the nurse gestured for Kardashev to enter. The white noise was still deafening. The physicist, I thought it was going to be physician. So physicist stepped carefully into the room, his eyes quickly drawn to the edge where Zhdanov lay in his bed under clean white sheets. Hooked up to all kinds of machinery Kardashev couldn't name, much less divine the use of, Zhdanov gestured with an IV punctured arm for Nikolai to step closer. I'm dying. You know it. I know it. The whole damn country knows it. Began Zhdanov, diving right into the question hanging in both their minds. I know. Listen, Nikolai, you obviously weren't my first choice, but you're the only person left in the government who's not a... After sipping water from a paper cup and wiping out of his mustache, he continued. A fucking idiot who would run Russia back into the ground. I need you. I need you to take the reins after I'm gone. I know you already know that as Vice Premier. But it needs saying. Of course, replied Kardashev, although he wasn't sure how to feel. So much responsibility to be thrust on him so quickly. Could he guide the nation as well as Zhdanov had? Would he be remembered as a failure? I'll have someone send you the paperwork and all that. Kardashev nodded in response before going up and beginning to head towards the door. Behind him, he heard Zhdanov again. One more thing, Nikolai. Go tell the nurse to bring more water. When Vice Premier Nikolai Kardashev had heard, in the night, his bodyguards knock on his door, he had known from the urgency by which they did that something important had happened. And it had. Andrei Zhdanov was dead. Things had moved very quickly after that, indeed, in order to secure proper and ordered succession. Nobody wanted a repeat of the end stages of the Old Republic, after all, and that late morning he found himself standing in the front of the Assembly Presidium. He had put some words together to provide to the delegates following his official elevation to the office of Paramount Leader. He spoke of unity within the Federation, about the greatness of the man who had led them to this point, about how all men had to trust their vision to someone else to be carried forward. He pledged to do so. The applause was, of course, unanimous. It was also, Kardashev could tell, perfunctory. He would have to work hard to secure support from many who did not trust him, and clearly thought, judging by the glances thrown towards the men, that Chelomai should have been standing in his spot. But as Paramount Leader, Kardashev stepped down from the platform. He knew that he could. He'd always been a hard worker. And this was just one more challenge to overcome. What does the future hold? One of the youngest senior figures within the ultra-visionary faction, Nikolai Semyonovich Kardashev, is also perhaps one of the most prominent and inextricably linked with the movement. Though his development of one of its foundations, the eponymous Kardashev scale, a method of evaluating the level of technological advancement of a society, he, along with everyone else within the faction, ensures that every policy acts to increase it. This, together with his natural administrative abilities and affable personality, allowed him to rapidly advance towards the office of Paramount Leader. A physicist by education and trade, Kardashev takes his goal of scientific advancement very seriously. Despite this, however, he is not a member of the so-called orthodox wing of the faction, and indeed disagrees with many of their projects and pursuits, dismissing the many pseudoscientific pursuits of the others towards a nebulous superculture. He instead concentrates upon economic affairs. This expresses itself in his tireless advocacy in pursuit of developments supporting what he considers to be true ultravisionary socialism, a fusion economy where science serves the people and permits the creation of a post-scarcity society. Though many scoff at this dream, Kardashev knows it's achievable, and he intends to make sure that it is so realized. Well, Nikolai Kardashev sat in the chair he'd spent years standing in front of. The Paramount Leader's chair. Zhdanov's chair. His chair. He was still in truth processing the change. Ever since his elevation to Vice Premier, he had, of course, known it was coming, especially with Zhdanov's declining health, but knowing and experiencing war, as many had told him, very different things. So far, he had coped with the shift through focusing on other things. Things such as the workmen carefully and respectfully packaging Zhdanov's personal effects for distribution to family or state museums as indicated by his will and final wishes. It would not be long before he had to move his own effects in to replace them. There was much more space to fill, physically and metaphorically. Turning his mind to the future, Kardashev swiveled the chair and looked out towards the enormous window. He was a Federation steward now, and he knew that there would have to be change. Many of the Federation's programs were simply unsustainable, and though he had no idea how to begin unraveling the dense network of unnecessary commissions and project boards that were so prevalent, he was keenly aware of the need to figure it out. Quickly. It was time to, as best as he was able to, get to work. What comes next?